Delighted to be joined by Matt Spencer for a feature interview looking back on his career and just looking and reflecting on so many things. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Should call this the Lucas Sheldon sort of nest, shouldn't we?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be as funny as him,
Well, I was
but
just
I'll
about to
give it
say.
a shot. I'll just try to be forthcoming.
I can't promise to be as funny as many gags a minute or flirt with you like we watched him the other day. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's going to get there, but we'll see.
No, but we'll have a laugh along the way. But I want to really reflection on why you're a hockey player and some of the things that make you tick. And I guess the most simple thing is to go back to the very start. Mm-hmm. Why ice hockey and how did that happen for you?
Well, I mean, I think just simple answer is being Canadian. It's just a big part of the dynamic in the country, and my family was always pretty hockey crazy, and my dad was a big hockey fan, and he played all the way through his life. Never professionally, but he's a tremendous hockey player as well, and so yeah, he mostly got me into it early, and it would just be skating around local rinks. That whole like out on the lake sort of thing wasn't really part of my upbringing, but just going out to rinks, learning how to skate, and then eventually I think around 3-4, getting a stick in the hand and kind of going from there. So it's always been a part of my life, and I've just I don't know. I think I just really enjoyed the whole team atmosphere and being able to contribute.
From the UK, we look at North America, especially Canada, and it feels like everybody plays hockey. Was that kind of the way? Did you and your friends, here, we'll go and take a football to the park and play football, or a bat and ball and play cricket or something, but was it kind of like that? Everybody went and played hockey?
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, my friend group certainly, and it's one of those things that if you get started in hockey young enough, those end up really being your friends, because you're going away to so many practices and tournaments, and so my best man for my wedding is one of the guys I played hockey with, I think from the age of like six or maybe 5 and onwards. So it's great to form those kinds of friendships early, and it's just definitely one of those things that just being a Canadian and having that sort of nice bond over something outside of school or family, it's like your second family, and it's really great.
A lot of sports people often could have done other sports. Was it always hockey for you, or was there another path you could have taken?
I was playing lacrosse when I was quite young, and that's another, sort of Canadian pastime for sure. I kind of switched into baseball when I was a little bit older rather, and I think it was just fun. It was kind of a different atmosphere than hockey, whereas lacrosse is very similar. So yeah, it was nice and a little bit easier on the body. A couple more games than hockey, but it was fun just being able to play a sport outside even. So that was a lot of fun.
Seen very little lacrosse, but it's the one with the sticks and you throw it.
The lacrosse sticks and the ball, and those things hurt almost as much as hockey pucks. But you're hardly wearing any gear, especially on your lower half. So you get a lot of hacks and whacks, and I don't know, maybe I just bruise easy, but I didn't like it very much.
What are your first memories then? You say sort of 4 years old, getting the skates on. What are those first memories of stepping on a rink?
That's a good question. I think it's just we have something in Canada called Timbits. So it's sponsored by Tim Hortons, I guess. It's just like a way of getting kids into kind of group hockey in sort of a semi-managed way. And I think it was just going out on the weekends and you get to play a couple like short games in smaller ice rinks. It's just a way to kind of learn and develop skills. And I think I just remember being able to go kind of like as fast as I can. And at that age, you're not going fast enough where if you fall, you're going to really hurt yourself. So just having fun with it and trying something new. I think it was just a lot of fun of getting out there, feeling the wind on the face kind of thing. It was a lot of fun.
And when you're young, who did you dream of being?
Well, I mean, I think it's a hockey player for sure. I had a lot of guys I looked up to. I think at that time when I was starting to get more involved in hockey and became more of a passion for me, I was a big fan of the Detroit Red Wings. So Nick Lidstrom was a great player for them at that time, and he was someone I really looked up to. I think I even have a jersey I got as a birthday present one year. So for that, definitely guys like that in the NHL that stood out, but honestly, I looked up to my dad a lot too. Like I know he was honestly what I thought a tremendous hockey player. I think he could have played professionally in some level, but just him teaching me a lot of things. It was easy to develop and get better having someone like that around.
So he never played professionally, he just played locally, did he?
Yeah, locally, and yeah, I mean, he still says like today he plays a lot of hockey. I think he's playing honestly maybe more than us. He plays like 4 or 5 times a week, but he always gets compliments from guys, and I believe it. Like he's a very solid player.
So with you and growing up, is there a moment you remember? Because every kid, of course, dreams of making it. Lots of dreams are shattered. Was there a moment where you thought, yeah, I can do this as a profession?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was just as I was growing up and playing in minor hockey, from the time that I think when you start playing, it's considered rep hockey. I must have been probably about seven or 8, and just consistently kind of making the top teams in my area at that time, like year over year, and then you get closer to the draft year when you're around 15, 16, and I was like, I'm doing pretty well. I seem to be one of the top players on my team, and also we had a lot of team success. And I think probably the year before the draft year, into junior, was when I sort of started to discover like, yeah, maybe this is something I can actually do. And from there, once the draft happened, played junior, it was like, yeah, then it's the exact same thing, that transition into pro hockey. It's like, yeah, this is a possibility, so let's go for it.
Must be an emotional roller coaster, though, obviously, because you're desperate to do that. I guess you make it, some of your friends don't, and that, especially at that age, that emotional roller coaster trying to chase a dream.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we were actually on a really successful team for that draft year going into junior, and I was lucky enough to have a ton of my teammates also drafted to various teams in the OHL or other levels of junior. So I think that was awesome that we had so much of that. But yeah, of course, there's a couple of those people that unfortunately don't get that opportunity. But I know a number of guys that maybe they didn't get drafted right away, but they continue to play and to develop, and they get somewhere. Playing semi-professional or junior hockey down the line. So it's just one of those things where everybody develops at different times. And, I think that's a real testament to just hockey. You see it all the time in the NHL. Like a young guy comes in, he's like, oh, he's not doing very well. But then a couple of years later, he's one of the best guys in the league. So, it is tough to see that happen, especially to friends. But, you try to support them as best you can, try to be a good teammate. That's a big part about being a hockey player.
And I want to talk about why a defenceman. If I think about people here, footballers, people I know when I played, most people wanted to be a forward. It's fun scoring goals.
Sure.
Less people wanted to be a D-man. No one really wanted to be a goalie.
Yeah.
I was rubbish at football. I just played for fun, and
yeah.
It was never going to get anywhere. But I guess for you, was it always you wanted to be a defenseman, and why?
I think honestly, I had a coach when I was honestly going through my growth spurt, where he just seemed to say that I think at that time defensemen were always kind of typically larger, and I was one of the larger guys on my team at that age. So he kind of suggested it. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot for sure. And I think over time I just enjoyed that role of being able to stop goals as much as get them myself or contribute. But it's something that I had to transition out of. And I think just over time, as I become a little bit more comfortable with the team I'm on and whatever it is, that offensive side shows up as well and comes through. So, I think after time, I just realized that there's certain guys that are more skilled than me in terms of scoring goals, and I have another skill set. So, try to just work to my advantages.
And let's jump forward now to the World Junior Championships, the under-18s there. You won gold with Canada there, didn't you?
Yeah, so that was the Ivan Holinka, which was the summer tournament. So yeah, it was pretty pretty cool experience for sure.
And that was the under 18. Was that not the world's under 18?
Yeah, it was a little confusing. There's under 18s. There's the Ivan Holinka, which happened I think pretty much in the same year. But yeah, the Ivan Holinka happens first, and that was the first time I got to represent kind of Canada on a scale like that. So it was incredible playing international tournament, and especially being able to win. But there was a number of guys on that team that are now in the NHL.
Thomas
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shabbat,
No, I got to her.
Matt Barzell, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. I think Mitch Marner. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. But yeah, no, we had an incredible team, and it was a crazy experience. But it was nice too because my coach at the time in junior, he was actually the head coach of the Ivan Holinka team. So it was nice, first time playing on an international stage like that, having someone you can kind of look to and just even have a chat with.
Yeah.
It helped a lot.
Thomas Shabbat, one of my favourites. I'm an Ottawa fan.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm intrigued. How was he? I mean, he's a hell of a player now. But was there an inkling that? I mean, he started. I mean, it might not have been far off. He probably got into the Ottawa system at that time. But
Yeah.
There was evidence there that he was going to go all the way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think he just kind of exploded past a lot of guys kind of our age in that year or maybe the next year. But you could see the talent there. And, I think it's a little maybe sad to admit for me, but I sometimes watch YouTube videos of him, in the lead up to matches just to maybe get inspired. I got a couple guys that I tend to look at. So it's awesome that, someone is performing so well and has made a hell of a career even so far as a young guy.
Well, you've had part of an NHL dream, and I'm keen to chat a lot about the draft. You were drafted by Tampa Bay, very high as well, second round. When do you first know, because I always look and you see all these names mentioned, when do you first know that you're on someone's radar?
It's tricky, especially around the draft, because from my experience anyways, it seemed like there was some teams and some players that were going to be selected where it was quite clear, especially as you get kind of right up to the very top. But there were some surprises in the first round, I think, during my draft. But, you get a little, obviously get some help from your agent at the time because he's talking with all the teams. And they did a great job, fantastic job for me. And getting my name out there and just promoting me as best they could. And I'm really thankful for that. But it's different. Sometimes it's quiet. I didn't really find out personally my situation with Tampa until kind of after I was drafted. And I heard it was kind of down between a couple teams. And so, yeah, it's different. But I had a good interview with Tampa at the draft combine. So I think that went a long way. And no, it was a really fantastic organization. I wish I could have maybe played a little bit more for them, but that's just the way these things go sometimes.
So I've heard that phrase used a lot, draft combine. Is that where they watch you and then they talk to you?
So it's a combination of some physical testing and individual interviews with the members of each of the hockey teams and their scouting staff and any higher ups they want to have at those meetings. So I think I'm trying to remember if it's 100 guys or 150 guys that get invited that are kind of considered top prospects for that draft class. And they basically inform you if they want to have a conversation with you. And, you get asked some basic questions, height, weight, that sort of things. And then there's also some weird ones. I can't remember being asked any particularly strange ones, maybe other than favorite type of food or something like that. But you think, what's that got to do with hockey? Yeah,
exactly.
If
you were food junkie.
Exactly, yeah. But and honestly, the height and weight of the height and weight of my dad was also something.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think it was. I tried to maybe give him an extra inch for sure.
So, yeah,
but he's already a tall guy.
They're looking, aren't they, to see if you're going to get taller?
Yeah.
Which maybe they see as an advantage.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but I mean, obviously with the level of power that the NHL holds, they're going to do everything they can to try and get the best product for their team. So Yeah, no, it was a crazy kind of couple days because you're doing so many of these interviews. I think I did around 21 or so, and then you have to do a number of physical tests. And I performed pretty well, including the VO2 where they have the big mask on while you're riding the stationary bike. But by the end, you're just kind of exhausted. You're just like, yeah, go home, have a sleep. But the draft comes pretty soon after.
Were you nervous then when you went to that, knowing what it meant?
I think so. But to be honest, I had a pretty strong draft year from a hockey standpoint, and I was just gonna kind of go in there, not maybe expecting to be a first round. It was of course a possibility. You dream of that sort of thing, but it was really just saying like, I know I'm a good interview. I know I can present myself well and obviously test to my best of my abilities. So I'm just gonna give it my all and just try to be as me as I can.
And going to the moment that your name was called out, I mean, I've watched a few NHL drafts, and often the player comes up, there's their shirt. But so were you not there that night, or?
So how it works typically is in the first round. That's more of the
show.
The show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where they get up on stage, they're getting the jersey, sometimes with their name on it, and kind of taking all the pictures, and then maybe some interviews on TV. For those guys after the first round and the next couple rounds, it's more you get drafted, you still go down to the floor, you meet the member of the team, typically the general manager. So the time is really cool because the manager of the Lightning was Steve Yzerman, who, of course, he played for Detroit, and he also played for Peterborough, my junior team in the OHL. So found that there was already kind of a connection there, and it was really, really great to meet him and talk to him a little bit more. But yeah, that was an incredible experience. And then you go into the back for a bunch of photography and interviews with a number of different people and sign some stuff. And it's just a whirlwind of a day, but it's definitely an experience that I'll remember forever.
In that first round draft, which is the one that you probably see, us overseas sees more of, the families are there and everything. Were any of your family able to share that?
My family was there. My dad, my mom, my sister. My agents, and there was also a couple teammates. We weren't sitting right next to it, but I knew that they were in the building. But no, it was incredible. I think everyone was just so happy. I think there's still pictures on my phone that come through as like my background every once in a while of that day and of them. And no, it was a fantastic day, and I'm so happy that they were there.
So you then sign effectively an entry-level contract, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. After you're drafted, you're kind of assigned to this team, so to speak, but you're not signed on paper yet. And then at the following season, I went back to junior, and at the end of that season, I got called up and played in the AHL, and that's when I signed my entry level. So that was kind of where you're now more locked into that team for the next couple of years, and went from there.
A lot of players, there's so many different routes to a career. Obviously, some start all in minor league, but some go East Coast and try and work their way up. But it strikes me that your first professional game would have been the AHL.
Yeah.
What a way to that is effectively one of the best leagues in the world. Just tell me about how it was to make your debut in such a top league.
Yeah, no, it's you look back on it and you're like, wow, I was pretty young, and effectively you're playing against men at that point, and you got to just be a little bit more switched on. But I think I had a pretty solid game for that first one. Again, it was at the end of my junior season, and got called up for kind of the last couple weeks of the AHL season. But it's a great opportunity to kind of see where you're at and build some confidence for next season and coming into training camp and stuff like that. So yeah, going into the AHL, had a good little taste of it, and like I said, trained hard that summer, and went back and was playing the AHL next season for the most part in Syracuse.
A lot of people I talk to about that AHL, it's an odd league because it's a league where, and maybe you'll relate to this, where a lot of people's focus is getting in the NHL because many players go up and down so often. So whereas in a lot of leagues, obviously the focus is on every player wants to get better, but and I'm not saying in the AHL the focus is on winning trophies. I'm sure it is, but whereas if you go into leagues around Europe, you're probably playing to win. But in the AHL, how weird is that? Is not only, I guess what I'm trying to say is, not only are you one as a team trying to win a trophy,
Yeah.
you're probably trying to compete to get the attention of someone above. That
Yeah.
must be a strange scenario.
It is. It is. That's definitely probably the strangest part about the AHL. Just there's so many guys. There's guys that have been in the league for forever. They're kind of lifetime AHL guys who are, you know, obviously still fantastic players. There's guys that are going up and down. There's young guys. So I think it kind of just depends on who you're drafted to and their position at that time. When I got drafted to Tampa, Syracuse was the farm team in the AHL, and they had my first year coming in. The previous year, they had just been to the finals, so they were still a very strong team. I think you know there's some bitter feelings about not winning, of course, and they wanted to get right back there. So for a young guy coming in, it maybe I found it to be a little bit more of a challenge in terms of cracking the lineup because there was more of a focus on winning and trying to be successful at the AHL level. But of course, you know, if you're developing and it's just you find yourself in the right situation, you're going to be playing for that team. And I remember looking around to some other teams in that league and guys that were drafted below me in the NHL draft. They were playing kind of regular minutes and stuff like that. And it is what it is, and it goes back to what I was saying before about development. Because certain guys they seem to develop at different years, and I felt like at that time I probably wasn't ready to play in the AHL, even though maybe I definitely thought I could. So I did need some development, but a couple years down the line, I think I found that I was ready, and that door is a lot smaller because there's new draft class coming in, and you know, new trades and all that sort of stuff. So it's definitely it's a bit of an animal, the AHL, and if you find yourself in the right situation and you know it works out for you, that's fantastic. And I certainly gave it my all. It didn't seem to work out in Syracuse quite the way I wanted it to. But it led me to Europe and playing in a lot of great places, so I'm not too bitter about it.
So from what you're saying, is it kind of like if you miss the window early, is it harder the older you get, do you think?
I mean, it is for sure for certain guys, but you know it's kind of strange because there's, you know, goalies are always kind of a strange one where maybe it doesn't work out quite at first, but you know, there's a couple injuries on a team, and all of a sudden they get in there maybe when they're 27, 28, and they start playing really well, and they find themselves in the NHL another year down the road. So it's one of those things where it's all circumstance, and it's always great seeing guys, you know, move up, but there's of course a part of you that's like, I wish that was me, but. I think it's motivation for me to just try harder and you know, be the best player that I can be.
I want to talk about the times you spent in the ECHL. One thing I didn't know until more recently was obviously growing up, I knew it as the East Coast Hockey League.
Yes.
I actually got told off a few months ago by a media member from the ECHL because we wrote a press release about someone signing. Could have been you, can't remember. But I just went back to type and called it the East Coast Hockey League. I say told me off. I got a little email that said, just to think, we've been branded as the ECHL for quite a while now. I just never had picked up on the fact that they'd dropped it. Now, it makes sense because obviously the WCHL and the ECHL combined and became one league a long time ago now. I think, you know,
to be honest, I didn't know much of the history about it.
So, you know, I genuinely still thought that the ECHL officially was called the East Coast Hockey League. But it makes sense because obviously the teams are not all on the East Coast. Which brings me on to why I'm doing this long, waffly question. Must be a lot of travel in that league.
There is, for sure. I'd never played in the Western Conference, but those guys must do a lot of travel. And I heard there's a new team in New Mexico going in, and it's kind of just all scattered. So I don't really envy those guys, but I was lucky enough to play in two divisions that weren't too bad in the Eastern Conference, including the Florida one when I spent a lot of time in Orlando. So your shortest trip, you're going up to Jacksonville, which was only, I think, like an hour and a half away. So that was very nice, but yeah, there are some long bus trips. There's a couple teams that have nice sleeper buses. When I was playing for Cincinnati, we had a kind of a nice one, so that was good. At least you could actually get some shut eye. But man, oh man, there's some that are pretty brutal.
My family are from Cincinnati. My uncle and auntie
Okay.
and cousins live over there. How did you find? But well, it's a long time. I think I went over there when I was 5, and
Yeah.
I'm 40 something now.
Yeah.
How did you find playing in Cincinnati? I remember going to a baseball game.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a really cool city, and they do a nice thing where kind of all the professional sports, so the hockey arena, the baseball stadium, and the football stadium, they're all kind of on the same street. So on game days, whoever is playing, there's a nice atmosphere down there, and but it was really fun. We had a good time there, and the team again was pretty successful that year. Unfortunately, we didn't win everything, but it was a great place to be, and a different part of the United States that I hadn't been to or seen or known much about. So it was interesting living in Ohio, and Kentucky was right there as well. So bit eye-opening in times, but I had a lot of fun.
And you mentioned Florida. We've had guys come over here who tell me tales about how fun it is to play in Florida, the weather,
Yeah.
the climate, even in the winter. That must have been, an attraction to be there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I didn't really appreciate it at first because, you're getting kind of sent down, so to speak. But after a while, I'm like, hey, there's a lot worse places you could be. And the weather was fantastic, even in the winter. Me and my fiance, we still reminisce about, we miss certain things, the beach or just certain restaurants even from that time. So great place to play, but I wanted to branch out and move elsewhere, and it was the right decision. So I look back in fondness.
We talk about looking up, but when you mentioned there about, you had to go down, you had no choice. How is that feeling? When you're told, we're sending you here, what's that like? Especially, you say you've got fiance, and,
Yeah.
What is that like when you have to say, and how quickly does it happen? Do you pack your bag straight away and you're off?
Yeah. So it was, just for clarification, when my fiance, when we first started dating, there was no up and down for me. So thankfully, I didn't have to
still
go
for
through
you,
that
the upheaval
with her.
with yourself.
Yeah, but that would have been tough. But no, the first time I got sent down, it's certainly a tough feeling. You kind of get a little pit in your stomach, and you're like, definitely not the trajectory I thought it was going to be. But it's one of those lessons. It's it's a life lesson. You just gotta roll with the outcome and do your best. And I was lucky enough to play well and get my opportunities to go back up. So it's just a learning experience. And again, going back to what I was saying before about the situation you're in with your AHL team and NHL team, sometimes that's just a numbers thing, and that's hockey. At the end of the day, it is business, and you're a cog in that machine. So you got to do your time, and I just tried to look at it in as positive of a light as I could.
To the NHL, there was one. It might have been an Ottawa player, but I can't remember. But someone was told mid-game and they got dragged off the bench.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it's probably not that dramatic, but is it kind of, are you told and then are you expected, whether you're going up or down, to be gone within a few hours?
Yeah, and I think it more depends on their schedule of whoever you're getting sent down or sent up to. There was times where I think there was one weekend that I remember, in Syracuse, where we had a game. I think it was on Thursday, and then I got sent down to another team for a game on the Friday, the Friday and Saturday, and then got told to come back up for a game on the Sunday. So it was just a lot of driving, and depending on where that team is, you sometimes have to do that drive yourself. Actually, the highway in between Syracuse and Adirondack, which was the first East Coast team I played for, it was a highway called the I-90, and the guys on the team in Adirondack were calling me the I-90 Bandit because I was going back and forth from there so many times. But I kind of like the nickname, but wish I didn't have to drive that much for sure.
Yeah, I guess about that, it's about the attitude, because you could go down there and sulk, couldn't you? But
sure.
You're going to get nowhere with that. So I guess it's about staying mentally strong.
For sure, and it's something that. I haven't always been the best with dealing with kind of those negative that negative news if it happens to fall, but it's certainly something I've grown from, And if you can find a way out of it, you can find the kind of the silver lining. It's huge. So, but I look back again at all those places, and I really enjoyed the experiences and the time I had there.
If you could pinpoint, we'll move on to Europe very shortly. If
Sure.
you could pinpoint a moment in kind of your North America journey so far as one of the best, what would that be?
I think it was Orlando. Oddly enough, during the COVID year. Don't want to get into politics too much, but that was a year where Florida was one of these places that was still pretty open.
Yeah, it was.
And we were obviously very careful, but I got to experience that with my girlfriend at the time, now my fiance, and we had a lot of fun just kind of doing having adventures, and we also did quite well from a hockey standpoint, me personally as well. So that was a fantastic year, and got to be in the sun in the winter. So yeah, not too bad.
And last year you went to another great country, Denmark. Mm-hmm. We were there with GB recently, and I was astounded about how clean it was.
Yes,
been there a couple of times actually, also with the Panthers. How well, first of all, why? What made you think I'm going to leave away this North American journey and take it to Europe?
I think it was just the best opportunity for me at the time. It is a way that we make our living, so it's a money thing. It was also just a chance to kind of break away from that North American system where there is a lot of like up and down, like we've been talking about, and kind of politics and numbers game where I knew that coming over to Europe, it was a lot more of a kind of a set team for the year. Of course, there's trades or guys go in and out here and there, but it was just a little bit more of a unit for a whole season, and being able to grow friendships and grow chemistry with guys on the ice. That's kind of an experience that I was looking forward to as well. But just I'd never really lived in Europe, of course, and I was able to visit a couple times, but being able to really experience and feel like a local in all these different places, it was just an opportunity that sounded really cool.
Never been able to say the team name. Is it Saunders?
Sonderjyske.
Sonderjyske.
Yeah.
Because Panthers went there, and in the Continental Cup.
Yep.
4 or 5 years ago,
yeah.
just before COVID. So I was actually working for the BBC then, and we did commentary on all the games. One thing I'll laugh about, I don't know whether they still do it. They had a little section where it was fan of the week, and they sat and they got beers.
Yeah.
And so we turned up, myself and my colleague at the time, Alex Noble. We turned up to the centre bit where the media section was, and we were searching for our names. We couldn't see them, and we're like, oh man, they've missed our request. They've forgotten us, and we were devastated. For a few minutes we're like, well, what are we going to do? And then we wandered around, and there was this settee with blankets and cushions and everything.
Yeah.
And suddenly it said Chris Ellis, Alex Noble, BBC Radio Nottingham, and we were like, "Bring it on!"
There you
go.
So
we sat on the corner of the ring in what was meant to be the fan bit where you went to get free beers. We had our own steward lady. She was lovely. You'd probably know her because I think she's worked there years.
Probably, yeah.
And she stood and looked after us and got everything. And so we commentated on the game from there, which was fantastic. But what strikes me about that, it's a great, like here, great atmospheric rink.
It is, yeah, and that's one thing that I loved about the team I played for last year was just the fan section, and there's of course stretches, you go through stretches in a season where you're not performing as well, but they were always there banging the drums, and I know we have a drum section here, which is awesome, but there was so many, it sounded like, especially as it got closer to playoff time. It was fantastic rink. It was kind of strange because it's in a very small town, but you can tell the fan support is so strong for that team. So it really makes a difference.
I was going to come on to that. I think the Panthers fans only found one bar. Did you find any more? It's a quiet town.
In Voyens, in Voyens where Sonderjyske plays out of, it's quite small. I think there was about a handful of us that actually lived in Voyens, and then most of the team lived just down the road, about 20 minutes in a slightly larger town. But no, you know what? It was nice because me and my fiance we're homebodies. We like to make meals and spend time together. So it was nice. It's kind of like a little getaway. But sometimes you're like, maybe wish there was another coffee shop we could go to or something like that. In terms of bars, I think there was There was one we went to, just the one time.
Yeah, the one where we found was just right next to the rink. It was
Yeah.
right there. But we did find a nice patisserie that served great breads and did sell coffee. It was about a 5-minute walk from the only hotel. I can't remember what the hotel was called.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember the
bread's
name.
all in the middle, and
I know the one. I don't remember the name right now, but maybe it'll come to me.
But no, we really enjoyed our trip there. And for you, what a season! You won effectively. I mean, you might be able to explain the format better than me, but you won the Final Four, which effectively was our Challenge Cup.
Correct.
We call our Final Four the playoff weekend, but you won the playoffs as well in a 5-game series.
Yeah. So like you said, the Final Four, it kind of the teams get decided earlier on in the year through just kind of regular season games, and you play the tournament, basically play 2 games, and if you win that, it's effectively like a small like celebration trophy for sure. But it was fantastic, and it was in January, and then we continued to play well, and that led us into playoff time where we had to go up against some tough competition, but. Yeah, in the third round, we were able to win the finals, and it was the first time I've won a championship professionally, and it was a fantastic experience. All memories that I'll never forget there. And the cool thing about Denmark, I don't think they do it here, but when you win the trophy, you of course get the trophy with the team. You get a medal, but you also get a golden helmet. It's pretty crazy. I'm sure there's some pictures that I can make available, but it's a very unique and cool experience they do in some of the Scandinavian countries, and it's on display at home, and it's probably never going away.
I mean, is winning as fun as people? I mean, we've done it here. You know, we've seen many teams win here in Nottingham, and it's absolutely fantastic. But for someone who actually gets on the ice and lives it and breathes it, is that winning moment? I guess it's hard to put into words, isn't it? How good it is.
It is for sure, and I think the biggest thing is obviously just pure joy and excitement, but it's also just such a relief in that moment because you play. These are long seasons. You know, you're dealing with injuries throughout, and to be able to just kind of last that long, and come together as a group. It really, the stars do have to align, and I'm really happy with the squad we have this season. I think we could do some pretty special things. It feels a lot like last year for us because we weren't right at the top of the table the entire year. We were kind of in that second, third position, but you can turn it on late. But that feeling, it's just pure kind of elation. Yeah, it's just great, fantastic.
And just moving on to Nottingham to end, what was the attraction when that call came from, I'm sure, Omar and Danny? What was the attraction to bring you to the Motorpoint Arena?
There was a lot of things. I think just the city itself and the good things I've heard from some past players. I was getting to be in contact with Hugo very early on, and he had nothing but good things to say about the city and about the team. And I think just with everything that happened last year, looking for that kind of fresh start, it was. Of course, you never want to have to go through something like that, and I feel for everyone that was affected. But I thought maybe I could help in some way in bringing back some joy and happiness to the arena, and also just putting together a good product for on the ice. So I knew that coming off of a season that we had in Sonderjyski and being so successful, energy was feeling good, and I knew that I could come in and hopefully make an impact. But it was everything. It worked out well with kind of my fiance being able to come here for the entire year, and school, and just I had a conversation with Danny as steward as well, and just he seemed like he really knew what he was doing. I've been happy to play for him.
I want to come on to the joy and happiness in a minute, but just first of all, you mentioned other players. I think we've talked about this before, but remind me, there was a few players that played here in the past that you linked up with. Yeah,
So Patrick Galbraith.
yeah. Of
Yeah,
course,
Patty.
he's still goalie there. He's still playing. Or
So
is retired now?
he is retired after
Yeah.
after the finals and the win.
He retired after that.
He did,
Oh.
yeah. But no, he's a fantastic guy. I actually he reached out to me the other week and we had a little bit of chat. So no, he's a fantastic guy. I'm not sure off the top of my head a couple other guys,
Yeah.
but definitely guys within this league. And
Yeah.
they said, yeah, it's one of these leagues that catches you by surprise, and it's a very good and up and coming league. And I've been really pleased and kind of surprised at time with just the talent level and how competitive it is. So.
And you mentioned the schooling,
Mm-hmm.
so you're on that course with Nottingham Trent University.
Yes.
How important was that? And you know, it's a business one, isn't it?
It
that
is,
right?
yeah, it's a master's
So just
of business.
explain a bit about that, and also how important that was for you, because hockey career is not a long career. So is this all about as well planning for your future?
I wouldn't say it was the reason I came here, but it was definitely a contributing factor. And so there was this partnership with NTU and the Panthers. I think they offer either a 1-year program or a 2-year program. And it was just something that, like you said, hockey doesn't last forever. And I still feel like I got a couple more good years in me. I don't know how about my fiance feels about that, how long we're going to be in Europe, but she seems to really like it too. I'm only kidding. It's something that you got to start thinking about. And for me, I didn't have that opportunity to go to school, to university to get my degree like some guys did. I was just in the junior route. So I just thought this was the best opportunity for me to build my skill set and hopefully take that with me down the road. So it's been a fantastic experience so far. It's been tough to manage with timing at times, but you get through it, and I know I'm going to come out stronger on the other side.
And one thing you said there in a previous answer, you talked about fun and energy and excitement, and you also mentioned on last year. Obviously, last year was, as you said, was difficult for everyone with the club, and the club's probably had a tough stretch on the ice with results and performances in the past few years. Mm-hmm. But all at the moment is I talk to fans and people within the club. They're loving their hockey. It's fun. Our crowds, we sold out 4 in a row. We got near on sellout the previous game against Coventry. And I think the next 2 league games against Glasgow again and Coventry again, they are going to sell out really soon.
Fantastic.
It's phenomenal, isn't it? Can you feel, I'm not understating that this team, you group of guys, have brought excitement and fun back to the Panthers. Can you feel that energy from the stands?
Absolutely. That's one of, honestly, the first things I noticed stepping onto the ice for the first game. I think it was like preseason, and it was
almost
packed.
sold out.
Yeah, it was packed, and I'm like, this is incredible. Like, I can't imagine this being the case for the entire year, but it has, and I'm so grateful for that because it makes such a difference for us, and to be playing in front of people that are supporting you. Through the good times and the bad times. Hopefully there's more good times, but it makes a huge difference, and the fans have been outstanding the entire year. We're really lucky for that.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great way to end.
Yeah.
Matt, it's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure.